We know Ryo Mikage as the billionaire, the 6-month prodigy, the chameleon, the Nagi glazer, Isagi's worst enemy, because this man stole Nagi from him, the dude that stopped Shido. But what I want to talk about today is how ironic the moveset and the actions behind Ryo Mikage, and how Ryo is becoming the thing that he doesn't want to. So Ryo's parents are rich, and he had everything he could ever want growing up. So in reality, he had nothing that was his. He had everything that was given to him by his parents and nothing of his own. If he wanted something, he would get it. He never had to struggle for it. He never had to try for it. There's no value in anything because he didn't have to work for it. That's until he saw a video of the World Cup. He wanted that. Something he wanted on his own, something that his parents could not give him because money could not buy a win in the World Cup. Ryo told his parents he wants to play soccer, but what did his parents say? No, you are to be my successor, my heir. You are supposed to become like me, the next head of the Mikage Corporation. You are supposed to be like me, a business person. You're to go to college and you are to succeed where I have. Ryo did not accept that. He did not want that. He did not want to be like his dad. He wanted to be something special. He wanted to be something of his own. Ryo is, as Gagamaru says, a sheltered little chameleon. He is someone who has no clue of the outside world because he was given everything. He has no idea what it's like to have something taken away from him. He has no idea what it's like to struggle. Ryo succeeded everywhere, in sports, academics, everything. He had all the girls flaunting over him. He had a bunch of friends, everything he could ever want. He didn't know the struggle of losing someone, of losing a game, of losing anything. A parent, no nothing. If Ryo failed playing soccer, he could go back to his dad's company. He would still be set for life. And that was something that no one else in Bluelock had. And he didn't understand the struggle. Ryo eventually comes across Nagi Seishiro, the lazy genius. But he didn't know he was a lazy genius. All he saw was a dude with white hair playing his video games on his phone. Until he drops his phone and traps it with his foot. Ryo, realizing that he's perfect for soccer, wants him to play with him so that his dreams can come true. Ryo is very possessive of Nagi. Why? Because Ryo had everything. Ryo had everything and nothing was ever truly his. But Ryo found something that was his own treasure. And that was Nagi. Something that wasn't given to him by his father. Someone that could make his dreams become a reality. They form a team at their school. They get invited to Bluelock by Henri, and they're the last two to enter. Ryo says that he's gonna make Nagi the best in the world. What Ryo doesn't realize is that he's subjecting himself to someone else, which is something he didn't want from his father. He did not want to be subjected by his father. He wanted to be his own thing. And what Ryo doesn't realize is that he is becoming Nagi's plaything. Nagi and Ryo are lazy. All they're doing is having fun. But eventually, they get beat out by Isagi and Team Z. And while Nagi sees a light that can push him forward, all Ryo sees is a Nagi who has found a joy in soccer. But the thing is, that joy did not come from him. It came from Isagi. Nagi chooses to go with Isagi. Ryo's pissed because Nagi was his, but no longer. He was swept away by Isagi. Something he wanted to do. He wanted to teach Nagi about football and the fun that football has on someone. But he couldn't. It was Isagi that did it, not him. And Ryo couldn't accept that fact. Nagi, the man who wants to do nothing but do the same things every day, which is lay around and play video games and eat and be lazy. Ryo, who wants to change his life away from his father, doesn't know how to change, how to accept change. But Nagi does change. He goes with Isagi when he could have just stuck it with Ryo. The status quo was broken by Nagi. He went with Isagi, something Ryo could never do. He could never leave Nagi behind until Nagi left him. Nagi wants to change because he wants to keep feeling the heat, because nothing exciting has ever happened to him in his life. While Ryo doesn't want to change because he fears the excitement that he has now will go away and life will become boring again, just like it did before he met Nagi. But through not being with Nagi anymore, Ryo learns to use his dexterity in a proper way, and that's by copying others to 99% accuracy. But the ironic thing about that is that Ryo's powers are what he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to be a businessman. He doesn't want to be a copy of his parents. He doesn't want to own the Mikage Corporation. He does not want to be like them. But what's Ryo's weapon? Copying others. He has no true identity of his own. His identity is to either copy others who have their own reason to play soccer, who have their own struggles to play soccer, their wants, desires to be number one, to make an explosion, to beat someone, to prove someone wrong. But Ryo just wants to play soccer because he doesn't want to be bored, and in turn copies everyone else because he has no unique soccer of his own. Just like if he goes back to his parents, his future will not be his own, but one given to him. Oh, is one of my favorite characters. When he went back to Nagi, I actually learned to love his character even more. Why? Because he did something that I like when a lot of characters do, and that's relapse. It shows humanity within them. It shows that they're not perfect. The change they make isn't perfect. It's kind of like Thorfinn. Thorfinn does lapse back into rage, even after his arc of saying he has no enemies. His feelings of rage and fighting instinct are still there, but he eventually overcomes it. And that's what we need to see Reo do, is to overcome his lack of self-worth. He needs to see that his ego should not be towards Nagi, but towards himself. And in Bluelock, there's nothing wrong with having a partner. We see that Loki wants Charles as his partner, so that he could be the best in the world. Hiyori states himself that he wants to play soccer with somebody and produce the best striker in the world. Some people think that Hiyori's gonna leave Isagi because he said he'll discard Isagi. But that's not exactly what he meant. He meant that if Isagi does not come up to par and does not keep upping his levels as a striker and as a player to understand what type of goals he wants to make, then he will discard him and he will not play with him anymore. That does not mean that Hiyori does not want to play with Isagi. We see in the most recent chapter that Hiyori is actually excited to reproduce the goal that they made at the end of the Ubers match again, when no one instructs them to. So there's nothing wrong with Reo partnering up with Nagi. But the thing is when he depends his ego on Nagi himself. And that's when I think Reo needs to grow himself and change and overcome that. And I think that he will in the Barca game.